Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about GitLab integrated with Docker Scout and Docker Hub. Now, sometimes, even if you're using GitLab Ultimate features and their security scans, it's better to have a combined solution than just use all of the GitLab tools. And if you're using Docker Hub and related features such as Docker Scout, you're going to want to integrate Docker Scout into your pipelines. So here's a quick look at what this looks like. I have the standard OWASP Juice Shop project that I have in my GitLab as a GitLab repository, and I've created a GitLab CI file. Now here I have the CI registry variable set to docker.io for Docker Hub, and I have some variables set for my CI registry image, username, and password, so that we're going to be able to build Docker images, or the Docker container image for this project and push it to Docker Hub. So all the standard things apply here in terms of how to use Docker Hub and GitLab together. But I'll just take you through some of the basics. So one thing we need to do in order to use the Docker Scout command line interface is to install curl and then use the curl command to install the Scout CLI. So we did that as part of the before script. You do need to be logged into Docker first before you do that. In our standard script block, this is all happening as part of our build job. In our script block, we're building the image, and then we're running a Docker Scout CVES command. This is going to give us the vulnerabilities that are known for this image. Now, the beautiful part about this is that there is already a GitLab format, so we don't have to parse a bunch of JSON output and put it back together into the GitLab format. It provides it to us. So one command, output that, save it into gl-security-report.json, and then the last piece is to make sure you provide that artifact as a container scanning report. Standard, push your image to Docker Hub once it is built. So we do that as part of our build process as well. Okay, but the Docker Scout pieces here are install the Docker Scout CLI, run the Docker Scout command to get the list of vulnerabilities in the GitLab format, and then save that as an artifact report for container scanning. It must be called glsecurity-report.json. Okay, once we have that done, we can see then as the pipeline runs using this GitLab CI YAML file, we will be able to see the, first of all, that the security scan does run. So if we look at the log output, we're going to see that the Docker Scout CVS command ran successfully, and that we then did save our artifact for our JSON report that we need. So that's great. The other thing we will see from our pipeline is the security tab, and all of the vulnerabilities found by that Docker Scout run are going to show up here as container scanning vulnerabilities of type Docker. Okay, so this is going to allow us to use the same features we use in GitLab Ultimate for other security scans in terms of merge requests approvals, seeing the new vulnerabilities found in the merge requests, preventing them from being merged if certain criteria are met. All of that's going to be just like how we use what we see and how we use the other GitLab security scans as part of our overall workflow. And then, of course, when we merge our feature branch to our default branch, we will then get our vulnerability report. And in the vulnerability report, we will see these vulnerabilities as Docker type container scanning vulnerabilities. If we have SaaS vulnerabilities and DAST vulnerabilities and infrastructure as code, we would see all those vulnerabilities together in this vulnerability report. But now we have the ability to identify which ones are coming from Docker Scout container scans. So that's really helpful. Again, this allows us to continue to work in GitLab the way we're used to with GitLab Ultimate. But why would we want to use the Docker Scout capabilities instead of just the GitLab container scanning capabilities? Well, we have the ability with Docker Scout to have some additional security features that are not provided by GitLab. So first of all, if we look at Docker Scout, we see the repository here. This is the repository that I pushed to Docker Hub, to my organization. And I can see the vulnerabilities that were found, the count by severity. I can also see what compliance measures are being met with this image. Now, this compliance piece is a piece that is not provided in GitLab, and it's allowing us to check for other things about our images, such as making sure that the image by default is not running as a root user, to have greater security if someone, a threat actor, were to gain access to the running container and it was running as root, then they would be able to do all kinds of things at the operating system level that we don't want them to do. It also allows us to look for supply chain attestations. So we know that this is an image that has an SBOM, and it also has the other attestations that we need. So we can see here with the details that we don't have the provenance attestation or the SBOM in this particular case. I haven't configured any of that, so it's okay. We'll tackle that later, but at least now we have that visibility. Now, we also have the ability, if we want to check for different open source licenses. That is something that GitLab provides through its scans as well, but it's nice to have everything here in the place where we are actually looking at and managing our container images across all the different applications that we're using. So if you can imagine having a large organization with many different images that we're building and pushing and managing, we want to be able to see the vulnerabilities across all of them. We want to be able to manage certain policies across all of them. And then this dashboard page gives us a summary view of how we are doing in terms of complying with our policies and also controlling the vulnerabilities in our images and not introducing more and more vulnerabilities to the images that we're actively using. Now, the last thing I want to point out here is that Docker Scout is continuing to look for new vulnerabilities that are recently discovered and added to the vulnerability database, MVD, or some other sources. And it's going to, when there are new vulnerabilities added, look at our container images, look to see where those images are impacted by those vulnerabilities, and then call those out here as well. So again, another nice attribute of having these additional checks all right from within the Docker Scout UI, and having the ability to have the appropriate notifications and all of that. All right, that's all I wanted to show today, but I kind of like this integrated solution. GitLab is still great for the enforcement and the controls and policies that you need in place to make sure that critical vulnerabilities don't get into your production applications. This adds another level of checks and security, and we know container security is becoming increasingly prominent in terms of where application security is the biggest focus. So hopefully this helps you. Thanks for your time.